Benvenuto! Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make Yakamein. I think that's how it's pronounced. This is a request from one of our subscribers, Todd. Hey Todd, thank you so much for all of your support. I hope that this dish comes out as you remember it. I hope you make it. We're making it for the first time today. I've never had it, had never heard of it. Of course, we're in New England. This is a dish that's very popular in New Orleans, and it looks delicious, so hopefully it's going to be. Okay, so I did a lot of research when Todd asked us to do a video on making this recipe. And as I said, it seems to be that it's a dish that originated in New Orleans, even though it has a very Asian name. I guess it is Asian. It's got noodles, it's got soy sauce. I'm not quite sure where it came from. But anyway, it's very popular in New Orleans. Like I said, it's supposed to be a great hangover dish, but I don't know. I've never had a hangover in my life, so I wouldn't know. But anyway, so I've seen a couple different versions of it. We're going to make a beef and shrimp one. You can use any protein you want. You can use all beef or you can use all shrimp. If you want to give this a vegetarian spin, if you also eat, if you're the type of vegetarian that eats fish, I would replace the beef stock with vegetable stock. Everything else really would be about the same. All right, so we're going to go over the ingredients quickly, and then I'm going to start to prepare the meat. So I have a little over 1.5 pounds of a chuck roast. You can use cube beef, like stew beef. I've seen that in other recipes. The 2 or 3 recipes that I combined together to come up with what I think will be delicious called for chuck roast, okay? Also, with this recipe, I've got a 1/2 pound of shrimp. This is extra large shrimp, peeled and deveined. I also took the tails off because Wade doesn't like the tails, but every recipe I saw, it left the tails on. Now, before we go any further, I'm estimating that kind of based on the amount of pasta and stuff we're going to use, this would feed 4 healthy eaters, 6, regular eaters, or whatever you want to call them. But the reason I mention that is because we need 6 hard-boiled eggs, okay? So typically, it's 1 egg per serving, all right? Now, while we're on that subject, I'm not going to hard-boil the eggs. We've done hard-boiled eggs many times. So we should all know how to hard-boil an egg by now. If not, catch one of the other videos. We're also going to use a pound of pasta. Now, in the recipe, I'm going to put 8 ounces of pasta because that's kind of what I calculated would be for between 4 and 6. But I'm going to cook the whole pound because even if I have leftover spaghetti, it will not go to waste in my house because I'll have it for lunch Monday or Tuesday with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper. But again, the secret to pasta, guys, is follow the instructions on the box. Okay, so this isn't usually the pasta I get. The store didn't have the brand I usually use, but okay, so this says bring 4 to 6 quarts of water to a boil. I would say 6. You cannot make a pound of pasta in a quart of water, okay? 6 quarts of water, and then follow the rest of the directions. I'm gonna make this till al dente. Now, as far as the spices are concerned, these are probably everything, you probably have these all in your spice cabinet already. The only thing I didn't have was Creole spice. I've never cooked with it. I did try it one day on eggs in the morning, on scrambled eggs, and it was delicious. It does have a little heat to it, but we'll get into that further. So we need some garlic powder, dried oregano. We need some onion powder. What's this? Thyme, right? We need some dried thyme leaves. So dried thyme leaves and dried oregano. And we need some paprika. And I've already measured everything out. So that's why there's almost nothing left in there. And like I said, we're going to need the Creole. We're going to put a little bit of this in our stock, but we're also going to marinate our meat and our shrimp with this too. Then you need a beef base, okay? I happen to be using Better Than Bouillon beef base. Use whatever your favorite beef base is. I don't have my own beef stock. I'm all out of it. I need to make another batch. But if you make a really, really good beef stock, you might not even need that. All right. But whatever your favorite beef base is, or a couple big beef bouillon cubes. All right, and then we need some beef stock. Okay, we're gonna need 8 cups, so there's 4 cups in per package. We're gonna need some soy sauce to marinate. Also, a little bit goes in our braising liquid, and also for garnish, we're gonna need Worcestershire sauce. That's gonna go in our base too. I should have enough of that. And for garnish, hot sauce. Now, of course, Wade and I are not going to use the hot sauce, but you might want to sprinkle after you've dished it out, or leave it on the table if anybody wants to add a little bit to it. Now, the one thing in the recipes that I looked at, they all do call for cayenne pepper. I'm going to put that in my recipe, but I'm not going to put cayenne pepper in it because Wade definitely would not like it with cayenne pepper, and neither would I, probably. The Creole, it does got some heat to it. But if you want to add that little extra bit of heat, use the cayenne pepper and then sprinkle some Tabasco sauce on it. All right, so because there's a couple other steps to this, I want to get to this. So I'm going to take my chuck roast and I'm going to cut it into, of course, if you want, you can trim off any fat that's around. This is pretty lean. So if you want to, so I cut that in half. So that's going to give us, oops, look at that. Didn't take the paper off. Oh, good thing we saw that. That would not be tasty. Shame on you, Wade. You should have seen that. He didn't touch the beef, so I can't blame him. And then this has got a little kind of natural cut there. So I'm going to cut it there too. All right. So you want to cut this into, so that's about, the 3.5, 4 inches. And then we're going to cut this into 1/2 inch strips. All right. I am going to cut out that big vein and piece of fat there. We'll put that aside. Because we're going to marinate this. Now, you do want to marinate this for a good, at least every recipe I saw said 30 minutes. I would go an hour or even maybe a little bit more. So a minimum of 30 minutes up to an hour or a little bit more. And so I'm going to cut that fat out of there. Cut around it. So like I said, we're going to marinate this. Now, we're going to marinate our shrimp too, but we're not going to do that now because shrimp does not need long marinating. Need to marinate long. I was going to have Wade cut, but we might as well go through the rest of it. We don't have that much. Because you got to keep in mind, with shrimp, anytime you put it in any type of a salty or vinaigrette, in this case we're going to marinate it in soy sauce, shrimp will break down really quick. Those ones cut. Those are probably a little bigger than we need. I'm going to cut those in strips. So that nice marbling, those are going to be delicious, and it's going to be nice and tender. And we're also going to stew this, so that's going to tenderize our beef up. I'm going to leave the fat on this one because we need a little bit of fat in there. That's too fatty, in my opinion. I'm going to leave that one because it's not that bad. Now, you don't necessarily have to throw this away. As a matter of fact, I might fry this up, or Wade may, for breakfast tomorrow. These nice pieces that are left. Let me just check to see if I can. Yeah, we'll get that one in there. And that one. That's going to be more than enough. I couldn't get, when you're buying meat, it's hard to get the exact amount that you want. I ended up getting, that was, I think it was 1.86 of a pound. So I've got a tablespoon of soy sauce in here, and I've got 2 teaspoons of our Creole seasoning. Let me just grab a latex glove. Sorry about that. So I don't. You're gonna need also a big Dutch oven to cook. So we are going to cook the pasta, so that'll call for a pot. But other than that, I guess if you use a pot to boil your eggs, Wade will probably use our little egg steamer. He likes to steam the eggs, so I'll let him do that. So again, we're going to save that all for our process while we're marinating our, while we're stewing our beef. All right, so you want to get that in a bowl and get it all nice and covered with your marinade. Oh, I forgot, we're also going to need some scallions or green onions for our garnish as well. So get your beef nicely coated in your little marinade there. It's not going to be swimming in the marinade, don't worry about it, but get it nicely coated. And in my opinion, we're nicely coated. We can see a little bit of the fat is now kind of orangey. Might be hard to tell you from the spice, so that's kind of how I'll tell that everything got on there. Good. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of tin foil on that, and we're going to let that marinate for an hour. And in the meantime, we'll do all kinds of stuff while you're waiting for us to return. See you in an hour. Alrighty, our beef has been marinating for an hour. Just as we were cutting to get the beef all marinating, Wade mentioned, he said, oh, you're going to put that in the refrigerator? My beef had just come out of the refrigerator, and generally when I'm going to brown beef, I like it to come to room temperature. So I put a piece of plastic on it and put it and left it on the counter. It was for an hour. Like I said, it had just come from the refrigerator when we started filming. Now, I did put the shrimp back in the refrigerator, and again, we're not going to even start to marinate the shrimp for a little bit. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to marinate, Wade got our eggs all nice and steamed and perfectly peeled. He always peels them perfect. I don't know. I can't peel a hard-boiled egg to save my life. But anyway, so beef is all marinated. We've got a nice big heavy bottom stock pot, Dutch oven. I've had it on a medium-high heat, or medium, letting it warm up. We just need to give a little bit of drizzle of olive oil or any type of vegetable oil that you have. That's extra virgin olive oil. It does give a little bit of flavor. One other thing I wanted to mention, we haven't put any additional salt or any kosher salt in this recipe, and I don't think we're going to need it because we have our beef base, which is going to go in our stock, is well seasoned and salty. We've got Worcestershire sauce that's salty, soy sauce that's salty. So I don't think we need any additional salt. We'll taste this, of course, at that stage when we're ready to adjust for flavor. But anyway, so again, we've done this a lot of times. We want to brown our beef. And of course, the secret to getting a nice brown is not to overcrowd your pan. So I think this slightly more than 1.5 pounds is going to take me 2 sauteers or 2 batches. It smells good. So, I think I can get the next batch in. So we'll let that saute for 2-3 minutes on one side. Turn it over, then we'll remove it to a plate. While we're waiting for that first turn, what else do we... So, while so we're going to brown the beef, and then we're going to stew it. All right, and we'll go on to that stuff, of course, once it's brown. The only other thing that you got to do in the meantime, we've got our eggs done, or you could do it while the 1.5 hours, because we're going to let this stew for 1.5 hours. Get your eggs done during that time, and get your pasta done. The pasta is going to go in a bowl, and they'll be covered with your nice hot broth, so you don't have to worry about the pasta being piping hot. I'm not going to rinse my pasta. If you want to rinse your pasta, go right ahead after it's cooked. Because I'm going to cook it and it's going to be waiting a little bit. But because we're going to cook it according to the package instructions and use enough water, it's not going to all stick together. But anyway, you guys get a feeling I hate overcooked pasta. All right, so see that we Got a nice brown on there. Don't know if you can see that. Can you see any difference to the camera at all?
Yeah, I can.
All right. These are thin anyway. So, and again, our purpose for this right now is not to cook them through, although they're probably going to cook pretty much through, but because these are going to go back in our soup stock. But we want to get a little bit of nice brown on there. It's going to add flavor. And we'll get the brown on the bottom of the pan, which I believe is called, oh, I just had it font, I think it's called. All those little brown beets in there that were pieces that we're going to get cooked into our broth. So this dish weighs heavily on the flavor of your broth. It's essentially a stew, right? I mean, it doesn't have potatoes and stuff in it. And as I was researching it, I'm surprised it didn't have, you know, what you always think of as the Holy Trinity in New Orleans cooking. Maybe I just didn't find an authentic enough recipe, but it didn't call. I only saw one where it called for green, oh, so what do they always put? Like Italians always do, onions, carrots, and peppers. And in New Orleans cooking, a lot of time it's the Trinity is onions, green peppers, and celery. It didn't call for that. So, or like I said, one recipe I found mentioned putting chopped onions, celery, and green peppers in there. But I was trying to make this delicious but easy. All right, so you see about one side was good, about 3-4 minutes. All right, I'm gonna brown up the rest of this beef, and we'll get our broth all made and get our beef in there and get it stewing. See you in a little bit. All right, our meat is all nice and brown. I did turn my heat off just for a second here because we're gonna get our stock in. All right, so we've got 8 cups of stock. Now I'll put that back on, and we want to put that up to high. We want to bring, I'm going to put our meat and stuff back in, but we want to bring this to a rolling boil. So basically we put almost everything else in our stock at this point, except our shrimp. And we're going to marinate that a little bit. We'll come back when we marinate that. We've got all of our dried spices. Put them in there. And we need a tablespoon of Worcestershire. And a tablespoon of soy sauce. It's a little bit more, but I have a little bit more meat than the recipe calls for. Let's give that a stir. We're going to scrape up, pan is hot. Scrape up the little brown bits from the bottom. If I had a better spoon to do it with. I'll get that in a minute. Be right back. There we go. So the next thing, like I said, I'm going to put the beef all back in there, but I just want to get as much of that, that nice crustiness up off. It's smelling delicious. All right. And we can get our beef back in. As I was frying the beef, I just put it on a plate. But I am gonna put all that nice juice back in there. And we need one more thing. We need a big, let's say, tablespoon of your beef paste. Take them on as high as I can go, and I'm going to cover it, and we're going to bring it to a rolling boil. And when that happens, we'll come back to you guys. All right, it sounds like it's come to a rolling boil to me. Oh, it has. That is a rolling boil. All right, and at this point, we can turn our heat source back down. Now, that's a rolling boil. So a rolling boil, the bubbles are, it's bubbling up, looks kind of, I don't know, like a, I don't know, waterfall or, anyway. All right, so we're gonna reduce the heat, and we're gonna let this come to medium on this little burner. Should bring it to a simmer for us. So we're gonna let it uncovered, let it come down to a simmer. And when that happens, we'll come back and just give you a peek at what a simmer is. See you in a little bit. All right, we've come to a nice, healthy simmer. Give it a one little kind of last turn. Make sure we got everything incorporated nicely there. All right, so now we're gonna part cover this. We don't want to cover it tightly because that will cause it to come back up to a hard boil. But we also don't want all of our beautiful broth evaporating. So keep an eye on it. You want to keep it on a simmer. It's going to probably take about an hour and a half to get to the tenderness I want it. And that's up to you. If you want, you can even cook it a little bit longer if the cut of meat isn't getting as tender as you want. So the basic instruction is cook it until it's tender. So we're going to give it about an hour and a half. Okay, set a timer for 1.5 hours.
Sure, 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Now we're going to come back before we actually get our beef to the point that we want it, because we'll quickly, just want to show you how to marinate the shrimp. And in the meantime, we're going to get our pasta cooked, and I'll get that cooked, and that can, like I said, that can wait a little bit for us. Once I cook it, I'll just put it aside. But we'll get our shrimp, let it marinate for 5-10 minutes, and the shrimp cooks in just a few minutes, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes at the most. It'll be all cooked, and we're going to put the shrimp into our stock or our braising liquid or stew. All right, see you in a little bit. All right, our beef is doing pretty good. It's probably got about 12 more minutes. All right, in the meantime, I've got my spaghetti all cooked. All right, and we're gonna need some green onions or scallions for garnish. Now, I'm not gonna cut all this because it's just way tonight. So, also the flavor too, because you're gonna get a little bit of an onion flavor in here. That should be enough for us. I'll get one more chop. All right, and then while you're sitting or doing this, you might as well take one of your eggs, and you want to cut it as nicely as possible. Ooh, pretty. Good, awesome. And we'll set that aside for now. We don't need that for a few more minutes. All right, so now we want to marinate our shrimp. I've got my 1 teaspoon of Creole seasoning. And I need a teaspoon of soy sauce. Yeah, well, put a and give that a nice massage. So like I said, we don't want this to marinate too long. So I'm going to say 5 minutes is going to be perfect. But try to get everything all nicely coated. We have 10 minutes left on our braising time, so that's perfect. All right, and then the shrimp is going to take no more than 5 minutes to cook, probably even less. All right, so that is going to be perfect timing. All right, we'll see you in a few minutes, and we're going to throw our shrimp in, and we'll start to get everything else together. All right. I think everything looks good. It looks nice and tender. I'm going to give our broth a quick taste before I put it in the shrimp. Definitely salty enough. All right, so our shrimp has been marinating for about 7 minutes. I'm just gonna throw our shrimp in there. Give it a stir. And that is really going to take maybe 5 minutes maximum to cook in the hot braising fluid. I might turn it up just a smidge. All right, so when we come back, we're gonna put it in a bowl and we're gonna eat. See you in a little bit. All right, we're just about done. Everything is cooked. Our meat is nice and soft. Our shrimp is perfectly cooked. All right, so I've got some pasta. I wish I had some big glass bowls. I think it would look much prettier, but anyway, we got our bowls filled with some pasta. And we're gonna take our broth. It's funny, Wade just asked me. Hold on 1 second. Could be watching it. He said, do you need a ladle? I said, no, I'll do it with the spoon. That will take us hours. Because I wish I had a taller, shallower bottom to the bowl, but that's all right. It smells good. It tasted good. All right, and then to make it pretty presentation, take a couple shrimps. I would say if you're doing shrimp and beef with the extra large, I'd say at least 4 shrimp per person. Like I said, I would have liked to use the jumbo shrimp, but I couldn't get them. Then I would do 3 per person if you're trying to get at least 4 servings. And then some strips of beef. Now, like I said, if you want it a little hotter, you can, of course, make it as hot as you want, but you can also put some dabs of hot sauce in there. I think that's good. And then your hard-boiled eggs off to the side, or wherever you want them. And of course you could, in other recipes I've seen, you know, you can dab a little bit more soy sauce in there. I think it's quite salty enough, but I'm going to put just a tiny, tiny bit. I don't know if you've ever had, oop, that's not a tiny bit. I'll eat that one. Soy sauce on a boiled egg, it's delicious. There we go. Oh, nope, we're not done yet. We need some green onion. All right. I think that is about as close as I'm going to get that to that dish. I hope, Todd, it looks at least similar to what you've had in New Orleans. And if not, let us know what we're missing. All right. Looking forward to eating. See you in a little bit. All right. The best time is eating, right?
That's amazing.
It looks delicious. Like I said, Todd, I hope it at least looks similar to what you've ever made. And I'm dying to try it. I did try the broth, so I had a little bit of a preview. I'm going to try my egg first with it.
I feel like I should be eating with chopsticks.
Yeah, I don't. We've got them. If not, I wasn't sure what we'd need.
Oh, it's good.
Let me try some of the pasta.
Oh, the meat is nice and tender.
That is delicious.
Yes. At first I thought it might be a little salty, but it's not.
Yeah,
really.
no.
No, just
When I first
perfect.
tasted it, I did think it was, but once we put everything else in there and
That was good.
shrimp is delicious. I do get a little heat from the shrimp, of course, because that was in the shortest amount of time with the spices in terms of in the broth. Of course, spaghetti is one of my favorite things on the earth to eat. Okay, one more time. Take one more bite. I want to taste the beef.
That is really delicious.
Yes. So,
Good suggestion by Todd. Yeah.
he introduced us to something, yeah? The beef is delicious. Now, that is very good. The beef is delicious. Now I said now, like a teacher. Like, now you go right to your desk. I was going to say something about okay. Keep in mind, you can do this with all just beef. You could do it with just shrimp. I think that's outstanding. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Earlier today in our area, it was raining and damp, and we, the forecast was saying it was going to be nice out, and I was thinking, maybe they were wrong, but about 1-2 o'clock, the sun came out, which was beautiful, and it was nice, but it brought the heat with it as well. So what I was going to say is, I can imagine this being your first, at least up in our area in the Northeast, those first few cold days and coming home to this for dinner would be delicious. All right, I'm going to eat. And I do have something else to thank. Again, Todd, thank you so much. And I hope you guys had fun watching along while we made supper. More importantly, no, not more importantly, just as important, I hope that you try it yourself. Let us know.
Please like and subscribe. Check out cherryhillhomecooking.com, and we'll see you on the next video.
Ciao.
Bye.
It's really good.
It is.
I do get a little bit of heat right there in the back. Wow.
What an amazing combination.
You just wouldn't think it, huh?